You also did a lot of research on measuring, like you did a systematic review on measuring placebo effects and nocebo effects. And one conclusion that you had was that there's a lot of heterogeneity, which is a good thing, but it's also a little problematic. And I was wondering, in your opinion, what is the ideal study paradigm to measure placebo and nocebo effects in both either humans or animals?
Well, I think it's first of all we need to decide well what placebo and nocebo effect and what symptoms we can measure. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like a first important point. But regardless of the symptom, if it's pain, is if it's diabetes, metabolism, if it's any other symptoms, I think the most ideal way is first it's a combination of conditioning and some positive information about the treatment. And there is quite some research showing that the combination it works the best. So you could be conditioned, so given a real medicine, but also given very positive information about this medicine. So if we are talking about painkiller, you could be getting for several days, you would be getting a real painkiller with maybe very friendly doctor who is giving it to you, bringing you very positive, optimistic information about it. And the combination of this environment and pharmacological action and pharmacological conditioning, I think, would lead to the stronger placebo effect.
And what about in animals? Same thing?
In animals, yeah, we cannot create, of course, this psychological part like
Mm-hmm.
information or environment. But in animals, what we see, the more repetition, so more times you couple your conditioned and unconditioned stimulus, more times you get the real drug to the animal, the stronger the effect will be.
Okay, okay.
Because it's learning, right? The more times you repeat something, the higher
Right, right.
the result.
And you place an emphasis on verbal suggestions for to give not to give but to like create the sense of placebo effects. Is verbal suggestion the only thing, or could other like elements of the environment influence that as well?
Definitely, there are multiple elements. So the verbal suggestions is like a simple way. It's like what your doctor tells you, what how you bring the drug. But there is other elements. So there's quite some research done now on so-called observational learning. So what you learn from other people. So
Mm-hmm.
if you know your family members benefited from some treatment and you've heard a lot from media, for example, probably your chances to benefit are higher, that you'll have a higher placebo. And the same with nocebo when the media is like super negative about some treatment.
Mm.
And you can learn from it and probably expect worse. But also, we are doing quite some research on communication and communication from healthcare professional with the patient. So I think it also really matters, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a verbal suggestion about treatment, but it can be the whole environment. So when you feel like your healthcare professional is caring, they're there for you, they're supporting you, probably it will enhance your placebo effect.
Okay, and so essentially, even just mere exposure can cause those type, not necessarily cause, but it can influence those effects, whether it's both positive and negative. So it's actually it's both ubiquitous, but it's also very sensitive and specific at the same time.
Exactly.
Okay, okay. And also, are there like instances where a positive, so like you sorry, a medicine that you take regularly that you experience like positive uh, like reactions from, so like let's say Tylenol for example, is it common where it can eventually turn into a nocebo effect where the positive just starts to decrease slowly and turns into more of a negative type of experience?
Well, we do not have any research on that, but if can speculate, I would say that not really, unless there is some other very strong negative event coming together with it. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, you taking your Tylenol, but at the same time you got like you ate something bad and you got very sick.
Mm.
Then your body probably will not discriminate between what you ate and your Tylenol, and then it can flip into nocebo. So I think if there's some other very strong negative stimulus would intervene and come together with your normal treatment, that can flip into nocebo.
Okay, okay. And I guess another question about conditioning is how can people kind of influence their own conditioning? Not to be like super rudimentary, but like super like rigorous about everything, but how can someone kind of decouple or couple things together? to
Well,
increase
that's
placebo. Yeah.
yes. We do not again, like from research point of view, we have not done any studies on that. But if I myself had to do that, maybe I would try to like take my treatment in some kind of more positive, relaxed environment, just to make sure that there is no other factors that could negatively intervene with it. It can be also just your mindset, how you set yourself up for your treatment and your expectations. Maybe, yes, if you're worried about the negative effects, maybe you want to talk to someone who did this treatment before or talk to a healthcare professional just to decrease your worry before you start taking this treatment. So it's more like taking care of your mental state around the treatment.
Okay.
But also
And
maybe to say something like, if you want to try something like very experimental, for example, we know that the color and the size of the pill can influence your conditioning. So, for example, if you're trying to get conditioned to painkiller and if the painkiller is bright red or pink, probably it will get conditioned more because the stimulus stands out more. And some painkillers are pink, so it could be that
interesting.
the pharma companies are using it already.
That's true. Some forms of Tylenol are red, at least here they
Yeah.
are.